Hello again. My name's Carl Smith. I'm a television reporter, and sometimes I find stories that my newsroom just won't cover. They're too bizarre, too far out there. But I like these kinds of stories. In fact, I seek them out with ads like this one in newspapers and online. One of these ads is how I found out about the bloody 520 werewolves. Of course, this is one of those stories, again, my station just wouldn't cover. That's why I'm bringing it to you here. Keep in mind, Carl Smith, that's just an alias. And coming up in a few moments, I'm going to introduce you to two people who say they've encountered a bloody 520 werewolf. You can imagine that I get a lot of phone calls about these ads, and it's up to me to determine whether the stories are real or unreal. I have to investigate them all. This is about one such investigation, the bloody 520 werewolves. 520 being State Road 520 that runs west through Florida. The road takes you from the East Atlantic coast all the way to the west side of Orlando. Recently, 520 has been expanded to 4 lanes, but it wasn't always that way. It used to be a small 2-lane highway traveling through pitch blackness with swamps on each side of it. It was easy, if you fell off the side of the road, to lose your car in the swamp, never to be found again. Over the years, plenty of people have lost their lives on 520, whether it's a speeder out cruising that strip or a drunk driver weaving his way home, maybe some teenagers out partying on a late night, or tourists who have lost their way. 520 is one of the most dangerous roads in the entire country, with a death toll much higher than any other road. In fact, there were so many deaths on this road, the local newspaper dubbed it Bloody 520. So is it just the nature of this road that causes so many accidents, or is it something else? There are plenty of locals who think these accidents are being caused by something mysterious. Earl Ray Jones is one such person. So tell me about this werewolf situation.
Me and my lady friend, we were out there out at 520 one night. We were stargazing. She was screaming a little more than usual, and took a gander out the window of what she making all this fuss about, and that's when I saw it.
Saw what?
I saw them eyes staring through the trees, man.
What makes you think it was a werewolf?
You know it's a werewolf when you see a werewolf, sir.
You got any proof at all?
Well, I didn't ask for his autograph, but no.
Any other witnesses? Did anybody else see it?
Well, she saw it, but she can't come public with it. She's not supposed to be out past the county line with her, on parole and everything.
Do you have any pictures?
Betsy ain't much to look at after she took that header off the back step.
Werewolf.
Oh, no. But I'll take you out there and you can get your own dang picture of this thing.
Okay.
You got a gun?
Nope, just my camera.
All right, well, let's go.
How far out is this?
He's just past out west of the water plant.
Okay. Earl took me out to the exact location of his ghastly encounter with the bloody 520 werewolf, exceedingly insistent that we only go visit in the bright light of day. A somewhat frazzled and distraught Earl Ray Jones struggled as he came to grips with coming back to the very spot of the most horrific experience in his entire life. He went on to explain, again in great detail, the sequence of events and what he believed unfolded before him and his special lady friend that haunting evening. Earl went even as far as to convey his beliefs in the government's involvement in a bizarre, yet not so far-fetched cover-up. Another twist to an already twisted and farce local urban legend. He proceeded to point out and show me miles and miles of chain link fence that he's convinced has been erected by the government. All steps to keep people safe in this ongoing battle of man versus myth.
And he's got an appetite. As long as he don't be eating me. I tell you, man, it's a bloodbath in there. I feel for them little guys, them little critters. Did you hear that?
How could I confirm such a story? Well, when we come back, you'll hear from another person who says he encountered one of these bloody 520 werewolves.
It was the sound of death. And then it appeared. It was big and hairy and it stank.
Welcome back to Encounters. It's not that you're more likely to have an accident out on State Road 520, but if you do have an accident, you're much more likely to die. So why do so many people die on that road? To find out, we have come to a local journalist. David Waters is a former street reporter for a local 24-hour news channel. David, what do you know about State Road 520?
Well, there were a lot of accidents on it that were very deadly, and when I got into news a long time ago, the first warning I got was from a reporter who said, 520, don't take that road, it's called Bloody 520. And I said, what? Well, because there were a lot of deaths on it. In fact, I covered so many on that road, but in fact, the state at one time even said 10 times more people about died in that section of road than a lot of other places in the state.
Have you ever heard anything in your reporting about werewolf involvement?
Nothing like that at all.
Ripping people's arms off, bodies apart?
That's very far-fetched. Nothing like that. They're all head-on collisions and caused by the time of night or distracted drivers or just the fact that somebody's trying to pass, but not that.
Earl was so certain that he had seen a werewolf, I thought I might give this incident one more shot. So I placed a specific ad this time, asking people to come forward if they thought that they'd seen a werewolf or anything else strange along 520. It was through this ad that I met Joshua. He's a busboy at Grandpa's Steakhouse in West Cocoa, Florida. If you've ever been on 520, Grandpa's is on the left as you come into town from Orlando. It's a pretty popular eating establishment with all the locals. Grandpa's is really a restaurant made up of a bunch of old railroad cars, an old building, and an outhouse out back. That's right, an outhouse. You don't see many of those anymore, but Grandpa's has a good old-fashioned working outhouse, and that outhouse is an important part of Joshua's story.
I'd say this area is haunted by werewolves. They stalk their prey when the moon is full. They love the swamp along 520. In the middle of the night, they startle the drivers to death, or if they didn't die, they wish they did. Then, once they wreck, they tear the drivers out from their car, eat their flesh. They need the blood to feed and breed.
As you just heard, Joshua paints a pretty gruesome picture of these werewolves. But when we come back, he'll show us what he believes are actual photos of the bloody 520 werewolves.
Finished the dishes and I started to take out the trash. When I was at the dumpster, I heard a noise. I couldn't do anything, I was paralyzed. But fortunately, he didn't see me and he ran the other way, so I managed to take a picture.
You saw Earl. He thinks a werewolf interrupted his love life.
Hear that?
The TV news reporter says no way.
Nothing like that at all.
And now Joshua says everyone out here, where he is, knows the dark secret about the bloody 520 werewolves. Joshua, what is it that makes you think the werewolves are responsible for all these accidents?
My friends and I have seen them.
So you've seen a werewolf?
Yes, as I told you on the phone. One popped out the other night.
Wait, tell me about that.
Well, I was working at Grandpa's and finishing up like I always do. Finished the dishes and I started to take out the trash. When I was at the dumpster, I heard a noise. It was the clock going off. It was 12 o'clock. 12 chimes. And at the last chime, our dog started howling. Then I looked over towards the outhouse, and there it was. It was a werewolf. And then I heard an eerie howl. It made the hairs on my arms stand up. There was an eerie breeze too. You know the breeze, the kind that keeps the fog away because the air is so moist. And then I heard a screech. I was frozen with fear, but I knew I had to do something.
When we return, we'll find out exactly what Joshua did next during his encounter with this bloody 520 werewolf.
All I can say, everybody should just stay out of the woods at 520.
Now, Joshua's story is much more detailed than what Earl told us about the bloody 520 werewolves. Joshua has just come face to face with one of these creatures. So Joshua, what did you do?
I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed. But fortunately, he didn't see me and he ran the other way, so I managed to take a picture.
You took a picture?
Yeah, as he was running away, I started to think, no one's gonna believe this.
It's pretty blurry. Tell me what we're seeing here. How big is it?
Well, he was smaller than I first thought. I don't know, maybe he was a young one, but I was glad he ran away.
And what did you do next?
Well, I waited a few minutes and lit up a cigarette, then I went over to the outhouse and took a look.
And what did you see inside, Joshua?
Feathers. Feathers and blood. I think he ate a chicken.
And you say your friends have seen these werewolves too?
All I can say, everybody should just stay out of the woods at 520.
After leaving Joshua and Grandpa's, I decided to check in with law enforcement to see what insight they could provide. I set up an interview with the sheriff of Brevard County. So, Sheriff, my understanding is your office is responsible for patrolling 520 on the west side of Cocoa. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have jurisdiction of the roadway. However, when it comes to traffic accidents, Florida Highway Patrol shares that jurisdiction as well, and they're often called to work the accident.
Some years back, it was not a divided four-lane highway. It was only 2 lanes, and it earned the nickname, I suppose, Bloody 520. Why is that?
We started hearing that name probably about in the mid-'70s, and I grew up in Cocoa Beach, and I remember when that name was being thrown about quite a bit. And we associated it with the fact that it was a dangerous roadway because it was a 2-lane roadway with high speed limits on it, and people frequently sped on it, and they would cross the lanes. There was no real protected barriers that divided the highways, and so there were a lot of oncoming direct crashes from one car to another.
Were there any reports ever of any attacks by animals?
No, I've never heard that.
Can I assume that you've never heard any reports of werewolves being involved out there on 520?
No, I've never heard of that, no.
Okay. So 2 people say they definitely saw werewolves, but we talked to 2 noted authorities who say while it is a bloody stretch of road, there are no werewolves on State Road 520. So I decided I had to go back to the road, talk to Earl, and find out for myself. So you think this is where you saw the werewolf?
Yes, sir. Right here between these 2 pines. Came up. This is where I saw the eyes come towards us, Betsy and I.
So he came from over in that area?
Came over here through the palmettos, down, crouched under, and the snapping and a chomping up by over to the here.
How would he have gotten through that fence?
I didn't say he got through the fence, but he was sure shaking it like a son of a gun. You see, it looks like there's some werewolf fur or something over there.
You think that is werewolf fur?
I swear on my dog's life.
Well, I'm gonna find out. So I took the first sample for analysis to a young cryptozoologist I know.
When he told me the werewolf story and brought me the fur sample, I was all excited. I started a fur comparison study right away. As you can see, we have a very large collection of animals. Many local species, all categorized by family, phylum, and so forth. I collected most of these examples myself. Aren't they just the most exquisite collection you've ever seen?
That's all very interesting, but what about my fur sample?
No werewolf. I was so hopeful. I ran the test 3 times, but no werewolf. Your wolf was probably a wild boar. So disappointing. I'm sorry I can't be more help to you, but I have to go now. I have a lead on a rare Lepidoptera.
I did get one more email about that ad that I placed about werewolves on State Road 520. It was from a woman who wanted to meet me at this store. Hello, I'm Carl from Encounters. You emailed me about the werewolf ad.
What is this for?
Basically, I do documentaries and I search for the truth about strange occurrences.
And this is obviously going to be on television?
Yes.
Why?
I'm trying to find the truth. I'm looking for folks who know something about the werewolves in State Road 520.
The politically correct term is lupine Americans, and you need to leave them alone. Just leave the werewolves alone. They're not doing anything to you. You rarely see them. They don't eat many. Leave them alone. Just leave them alone.
So I assume you've seen werewolves or have some knowledge?
That's none of your business, and you really need to just leave the werewolves alone. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Earl and Joshua both insist that they saw a werewolf.
I saw them eyes staring through the trees, man.
I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed. But fortunately, he didn't see me, and he ran the other way.
But did they? That picture was pretty blurry. It's clear, though, something was in that outhouse that night. As for the smell, maybe the outhouse just got shaken up a little bit. Or maybe, just maybe, I had dinner at Grandpa's Steakhouse and thought that it would make a good story for Encounters. Think about that for a minute, and I'll be back with a preview of my next encounter as I investigate the real, the unreal, and beyond. Welcome back to Encounters. I'm going to continue placing these little ads, asking for your unique and bizarre stories. I'll check them out and get back to you. Now, next time on Encounters, you're going to be surprised to meet Buzz Shepard. He's one of the first astronauts to say that he really encountered alien life forms.
This great white light came over me. That's when I first saw the alien beings.
He screamed. He was at the top of his lungs. You guys are going to kill people, for God's sakes.
This is consistent with the technologies and rocket designs of the 1950s.
And remember, if you experience anything unusual, you can always email me at carlsmith@encounterstvshow.com. And don't forget to join me next time as I investigate the real, the unreal, and beyond on Encounters.